You just got a raise, a real one, more money landing in your account every 2 weeks than ever before. So you moved into a nicer apartment, upgraded the car, started ordering the appetizer without checking the price, and yet somehow at the end of the month you have less breathing room than you did 2 years ago, back when you earned thousands less. That's not bad luck. It's not even really about how much you earn. It's a habit hiding inside almost every paycheck in America, and almost nobody notices it happening. By the end of this video, you'll never look at a raise the same way again. Here's the belief almost everyone carries around without questioning it. If you just earned more money, your money problems would disappear. It feels obvious. More income, more security. But economists have a name for what actually tends to happen instead, and it's been observed so consistently that it has its own nickname, lifestyle creep. Your spending quietly rises to match your income almost every single time, unless you deliberately interrupt it. This isn't a character flaw. It isn't about being irresponsible. It's closer to a law of physics for money, first described by a British historian named C. Northcote Parkinson, who noticed that work expands to fill the time available for it. Economists later borrowed his idea and applied it to spending. Expenses expand to fill the income available for them. Give someone $20 extra a week, and within months that $20 has a job, a subscription, a bigger grocery cart, a slightly nicer version of something they already owned. To understand why this habit is so hard to see, you have to go back to how American spending on credit actually started. Before the 1920s, buying something you couldn't fully pay for was considered close to shameful. Then furniture and appliance sellers began offering installment plans, letting ordinary families buy a refrigerator or a sofa in small monthly payments instead of saving up first. It worked so well that by the late 1920s, the majority of cars, radios, and household appliances in America were bought on installment credit, not cash. After World War II, that habit exploded. Returning soldiers got cheap mortgages through the GI Bill. New suburbs sprang up almost overnight, and in 1950 a businessman named Frank McNamara created the first general-purpose credit card, Diners Club, after realizing he'd forgotten his wallet at a restaurant dinner. Within a decade, the idea of spending money you didn't technically have yet went from unusual to completely normal. The entire culture shifted around a simple idea: your future income can pay for your present life. That idea isn't inherently bad. Mortgages, business loans, even some credit card use can build wealth. But it quietly rewired something deeper, the belief that as your income grows, your lifestyle is supposed to grow right along with it. Now, here's where the research gets uncomfortable. The Federal Reserve runs an annual survey called the Survey of Household Economics and Decision-Making. Year after year, it has found that a large share of American adults, often somewhere around a third to 4 in 10, say they would struggle to cover an unexpected $400 expense using cash or its equivalent. That statistic gets repeated a lot, but the part people miss is this: a meaningful percentage of the people who say that aren't low income. Plenty of them earn well into 6 figures, so the question isn't just how much do you make, it's where does it go the moment it arrives. Behavioral economist Richard Thaler, who later won the Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences, spent decades studying something called mental accounting, the idea that people don't treat money as one interchangeable pool. They mentally sort it into buckets. Raise money quietly gets filed into the lifestyle upgrade bucket before it ever reaches the savings bucket. There's an even older psychological pattern behind this, called hedonic adaptation. In the 1970s, researchers Philip Brickman and Donald Campbell studied lottery winners and found something surprising. After the initial excitement faded, many winners' day-to-day happiness returned close to where it had been before they won. Their nervous systems adapted to the new normal. A bigger house stopped feeling big. A nicer car became just the car. The upgrade became the new baseline, and the search for the next upgrade began. This is the trap. It's not that spending more money is wrong. It's that spending quietly resets your idea of enough, so the finish line keeps moving exactly as fast as you're running toward it. Let's look at how this plays out in real life, because the examples are more dramatic than most people expect. In 1990, the rapper MC Hammer was earning roughly $30 million a year at the height of his fame. By 1996, he filed for bankruptcy, weighed down by a mansion with over 200 employees, a massive stable of horses, and spending that scaled up with his income far faster than his income could stay high. Mike Tyson earned an estimated $400 million over his boxing career and still ended up filing for bankruptcy in 2003. Cars, jewelry, mansions, tigers he actually owned as pets. The income was extraordinary. The lifestyle grew to match it dollar for dollar. These are extreme headline-grabbing cases, but the same pattern shows up quietly in ordinary households every single day, just with smaller numbers and no tabloid coverage. That's actually the exact subject of one of the most influential pieces of financial research ever published for everyday people, The Millionaire Next Door, a study conducted by researchers Thomas Stanley and William Danko in the 1990s. They interviewed hundreds of actual American millionaires and found something that surprised almost everyone. Most of them didn't live in mansions or drive luxury cars. Many drove used vehicles and lived in the same modest house for decades. Meanwhile, they identified a separate group they called under-accumulators of wealth. People with high, sometimes impressive incomes, doctors, lawyers, executives, who had almost nothing saved, because their spending had risen in lockstep with every promotion they ever received. The doctors weren't bad with money because they were reckless. They were bad with money because their income rose faster than their awareness of where it was going. So here's the twist that changes how you should think about this entire topic. Most people assume the solution is simple: just spend less, cut the coffee, skip the vacation, live like a monk. But research on happiness and income tells a more complicated story. In 2010, Princeton researchers Daniel Kahneman and Angus Deaton published a widely cited study suggesting that day-to-day emotional well-being tends to rise with income up to a certain point and levels off after that, historically discussed around the $75,000 mark, though that number has been debated and revisited since, including by later research from Matthew Killingsworth suggesting well-being can keep climbing further for many people. The honest takeaway isn't money can't buy happiness. It's that raw spending increases. Stop delivering the same emotional return once your basic security is covered. Past that point, what actually moves the needle is control. Knowing your money is doing what you decided it should do, instead of quietly draining somewhere you never chose. That's the real counter-argument worth taking seriously. Some people say chasing savings while you're young sacrifices experiences you can never get back, and that's not entirely wrong. Money spent deliberately on travel, on relationships, on your health can be some of the best money you ever spend. The evidence doesn't say never upgrade your life. It says the danger isn't spending more. The danger is spending more without ever deciding to. So what does this actually look like in your life, starting with your very next paycheck? The single most cited fix, going back nearly a century, comes from a 1926 book called The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason. The core idea is simple enough to say in one sentence: pay yourself first. Before rent, before subscriptions, before the nicer version of anything, a portion of every paycheck moves into savings or investments automatically the moment it arrives, not whatever happens to be left over at the end of the month. This works because of something researchers call the default effect. Money that's automated before you see it never enters your mental spending account in the first place. You can't creep spending you never had access to. The next step is what financial planners sometimes call raise splitting. When your income goes up, instead of letting your lifestyle absorb all of it, you split the increase. Half goes toward the life upgrades you actually want. Half goes straight into savings or investments before you ever get used to having it. That way your lifestyle still improves, just not at the exact same speed as your income, which is the entire mechanism that lets wealth actually accumulate over time.
This connects to one of the most well-documented ideas in personal finance: the power of investing consistently over long periods. Historically, the S&P 500 index, a basket of 500 of the largest publicly traded American companies, has delivered average annual returns in the range of roughly 10% before inflation over many multi-decade periods, according to data widely published by sources like Vanguard, Morningstar, and multiple academic studies of market history, though returns vary significantly year to year, and past performance never guarantees future results. Jack Bogle, the founder of Vanguard, spent his career arguing that the investor who consistently sets money aside and doesn't try to outsmart the market tends to outperform the investor chasing hot stocks and reacting emotionally to every headline. Warren Buffett has said something similar for decades. Money you save and invest before lifestyle creep gets to it is money that compounds quietly in the background, working while you sleep, while a raise that gets fully absorbed into spending never gets the chance to work at all. The third piece is knowing your number. Not a vague goal like save more, but an actual figure for what enough looks like for you. your monthly baseline expenses, your savings rate, the version of your life that would make you feel secure rather than just comfortable for a moment. Without that number, every raise becomes an invitation for spending to quietly fill the space because you never defined where the space should stop. Financial writer Morgan Housel put it simply in his book, The Psychology of Money. Wealth is what you don't see. It's the car not bought, the upgrade postponed, the money sitting quietly in an account instead of on your body or in your driveway. The people who look the wealthiest are frequently the ones who kept the least. Remember that raise from the beginning of this video, the one that somehow left you with less room to breathe than before. It was never really about how much landed in your account. It was about whether you decided where that money went or whether it decided for you, silently, one small upgrade at a time, exactly the way it's designed to. Your income is going to keep changing throughout your life. Raises, new jobs, side income, maybe a business someday. None of that guarantees wealth on its own. What actually determines whether you end up ahead isn't the size of the number hitting your account. It's whether you're the one deciding what happens the moment it lands, or whether the habit is deciding for you. The next time your paycheck grows, you'll know exactly which one it's going to be.